All right, everybody. Sorry it's been so long. I guess life just kind of took its course, I guess one could say. But I'm not dead. Well, what's been slowing the channel down here? Well, I am happy to announce that I now have a pay by the hour job at a local TV station, which is kind of fun because I kind of get to do this kind of camera work stuff on a professional level, which is kind of fun, kind of cool to do. It's all fine and dandy, but in return, it's kind of slowed down what I can do here realistically. Some other projects that have kind of taken up some time are well, I guess this didn't really take up a whole lot of time, but a 1935 Hiawatha Model D, which is a bicycle that was sold at Gamble Skogmo stores or whatever the heck they were called, similar to Coronado, and that was their electronics brand. But yeah, that was kind of a fun little project. All it really needed was a chain to be tensioned, but other than that, it was pretty straightforward plug and play. That thing's fun to drive. Luckily, it didn't need brake work. The brakes were a little rusty at first, but they've cleared up the more I've used it. I've owned it for about 2 months, and I've probably put about 20 miles on it or so. Um, Maybe 25 miles on it. It's just kind of fun to take around town and whatnot, and it looks kind of cool. And I don't know, it's just more so just because it's fun to drive. Um, I also had a street find 1971 Chrysler outboard motor, which I started working on, but I'm going to stop till I kind of have the right tools to work on it since it's got a dead ignition coil and not a bunch of other stuff. I think that's the only thing wrong with it. But it'll be kind of cool. It's a 6 horse. Found it right on the curb for free. So I kind of swooped in and picked it up, not really knowing what I was getting into, but thinking that I could just fix whatever it was. And hopefully that'll be the case. Let's see. I think that's about it. There's been like various little trips and vacations and whatnot that have also kind of kept me busy. Of course, you guys saw that refrigerator that I found on the street a while back. That was really cool. 1939 Philco, or not Philco, General Motors Frigidaire. That was in really good condition, and I hope this whoever picked it up wasn't just like taking it to scrap. But that's usually how that stuff goes. So I guess I'll just have to cry about it. Anyways, it looks like speaking of Philco, I think I kind of have our next little project here picked out. A standard broadcast. Ooh. Philco Transitone, 1952. I have the knobs for it somewhere around here, but one of them is like cracked or missing a big chunk. So I think I'm just going to 3D print some matching knobs or something. And as you can see, we're kind of at a weird phase with radio construction here because we have a mini tube here, a Loctal, mini tube there, and way back in there, and then 2 octals. So you have some of the kind of old school design like the octals, but you have the terrible IF cans. But luckily, these ones were Philco branded. I don't know if that makes a difference, but whatever, it's there. And yeah, I'm sure that those IF cans are garbage, but I do have silver mica disease capacitors. So if this had that issue, I could take the IF cans apart and try to do that. And this might be a good practice because if it loses and destroys the radio or whatever, it's not like some one of a kind thing. I think it looks really cool and it should be at least an okay performer, I guess. But I don't know. If it gets destroyed, then I'm not going to throw a temper tantrum, I guess. Anyways, yeah, it should be a fun little project. I guess the kind of point of this video was to get a parts list written down for this, so then I could punch it into the computer and throw it in a cart, and in a week and a half, UPS will destroy it in front of my doorstep. So yeah, there's that. I guess some other things I've been doing lately is a lot more abandoned house exploring, where I look on the public land maps and look for old homesteads and whatnot and see what's left. And here's something that I found that was kind of cool. That was inside an abandoned RV on public land now, and it was like just recently put as public land. I think 2 years ago it was still private. This is a 1967 Montgomery Ward's Powercraft fire extinguisher, and it is still completely full. Like, you can look at that gauge. I've looked at the gauge. The needle is still on green, and it still weighs like 6 pounds. Or approximate charged weight 4 pounds. So I guess it must be 4 pounds or whatever. But they have to put the year on fire extinguishers because they technically expire after like 12 years, and this is a 1967, which means that it was the 70s when it expired. But if there's an electrical fire here, I guess Ward's Powercraft has got our back here with 55-year-old flame retardant chemicals. Hopefully that word does not get my channel banned. Yeah, there's that. With the old school Underwriters Laboratories font, it's like kind of all like a very official, ornate looking font there. I like that. That's cool. Anyways, that's kind of cool. I think it kind of fits the whole aesthetic of this kind of outdated electrical shop kind of aesthetic. Ooh, that is kind of in the background of this place. So yeah, there's that. That's kind of cool. Some other things that I found have been like some old bottles from the 30s and whatnot. You know, just kind of very typical, very common abandoned house kind of stuff. And stuff that I found from the thrift store version mega edition, whatever the heck you want to call it. Been like these, or not these, because there's just one, but this type of TV here, these little portable, crappy, forgot to solder things down kind of TVs. And there's actually some kind of cool older stuff, like this old Bell and Howell projector. And a camping stove from the 60s that I use, dual burner. See what else? Oh yeah, there's a HP professional calculator with 3 textbooks about how to use it from the 80s. And that's kind of cool because HP, I mean, I like HP. I know a lot of people do, at least old HP. I don't know how they've held up now, but they used to make some really, really good stuff back when computers wasn't their main focus. And yeah, so I guess let's get to that parts list because that's kind of the point of this whole video instead of me blabbering, which I guess is also kind of the point of it. First time this chassis has been apart since probably the fall of 2021. It's kind of just been on the back burner for more than it should have been because I think it's cool and I want to see it make noises again. One thing that's weird about Philco stuff that I've noticed is, here we go, more of, I guess I'm getting back into the groove of YouTube. One thing I think is weird, but anyways, one thing that I think is weird about Philco stuff is that everything is branded Philco, like the IF transformers and this audio output transformer. I guess the IF units, whatever the heck you want to call them. But oh yeah, this is what this thing was like. Had some replacement parts, like a replacement filter capacitor. Well, plural, I guess. Oh, and Philco branded their own capacitors. That's right. But anyways, this looks really easy. this this is like ultimate beginner level electrical work. I mean, it's just like bang, 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 right there. That's all it really needs to get to safe levels again, hopefully. I mean, I don't see what else can go wrong with this unless the resistors are all just absolutely fried, which I guess by this era wasn't exactly a problem. Older dog bone resistors I think can drift a little bit, but these are pretty modern. Like these are, yeah, pretty modern, I guess is a good way of putting it. And there is an older dog bone resistor up there, but we're just not going to talk about him. Anyways, typical Philco, you have a loop antenna for some reason. Instead of like a cardboard back with a loop antenna on that, like kind of spiraling in, it's now wrapped around the case like a floor standing unit. And yeah, ooh, it has a dial light. Um, Luckily, finally one without a broken dial cord, and the dial cord on this is very tight and very accurate. But anyways, let's throw a parts list all together. And you know what still needs a parts list? That oscilloscope. Actually, it has a parts list, but it is a $55 parts list. I'm not really feeling ready to spend $55 on a parts list for something that might work. It's a good way of putting it. If the CRT is good, then we're fine. There's really nothing really to go too terribly wrong. But the CRT needs to work, because if that CRT is dead, then that whole thing is dead. Because that's just how CRT stuff works these days, because you can't get them rebuilt. And good luck finding a replacement that won't be smashed on your porch by UPS. Anyways, on to a parts list. I wonder how good that. Oh god, I'm misspelling it already. Wonder how good that replacement filter capacitor is here. Wonder how old it is. Probably. To be honest, probably the late 50s. Probably didn't last too long. That original electrolyte, those things are garbage. One way of telling if a radio has decently low hours on it or wasn't used for very long is if the original filter capacitor is still in it, because they used to go bad so quickly. Anyways, that is a 30 at 150, and it is a 50 at 150. Here we have 10 microfarad at 150. So I don't know what I'm going to substitute that with. Probably a 22. That's a replacement too. So that takes care of the filter section. 0.04 at Philco, I guess. At 400. Here, I'll save you the boring part. All right, I have my parts list all parted out. Pretty simple, straightforward. I got rid of this clip thing because it's just kind of dangling in there. I think it's what held this, and I probably took it off, or maybe someone else did a while ago. But that sounds like something that I would do. So I just removed it completely. It was in the way. But anyways, that's a complete parts list thing for this. So that'll be nice to have. I'll punch that into the computer and we can work on this one in a bit. All right, I thought, well, why not throw in another radio to this kind of inspection? So here we have, I think I might have looked at this one before, but probably not in this much depth, but maybe, I don't know. Anyways, I need a refresher because I need more parts, because I need more things to keep me busy. This is a 1949, I believe, Airline radio. These were just kind of a dime a dozen at Montgomery Ward's. Someone left it on the burner for too long. So you can probably tell what room of the house this was in and what it was sitting on. Yeah, I'd say it was left on the burner a little too long. Dime a dozen kind of radio. You can find these anywhere. Really basic. Here's our external antenna. It's just kind of a nub of metal that you're supposed to wrap the wire around and call it good. Oh, yeah, that's right. This thing had a broken dial cord. Those are fun, aren't they? Aren't those just the best? My dad and I fixed a dial cord once, and that was probably my greatest accomplishment. Holy dusty. I didn't know it was this dusty. Why don't we swap sides with this? Look at that thick layer of dust. Makes me cough just looking at it. Holy crap. Just a thick layer of dust. Like, there's a obvious, like, texture difference from where there's dust and where there's isn't. And where there isn't, theirs isn't. Well, I see a airline vacuum tube. That's a good sign, especially a tall one. That's a good sign that this doesn't have a million gajillion hours on it. I see another airline tube. There's a tongue sole, and what do we have here? RCA electron tube. So yes, there's that too. RCA. RCA. The Discord server will understand that one. Crap, which way does this go in? That. There we go. What is this? Why does this have a tube shield on it? Who's responsible? Probably airline. It doesn't really matter anyway. I just like seeing the different brands of tubes that are in here. It's just kind of always something that's kind of interested me. Anyways, IF cans, I think, have 1949 date codes. Yes, they do. Volume pot sounds and turns good. Dial system does not. It's pretty evident by the lack of a dial cord. And there's like a solid chunk of that missing. Holy crap. That's gonna be a hassle. Rip your hair out edition. Oh boy. Inspect what you're getting into, my friends. You can tell this has been repainted because there's paint blotch lines kind of streaking down it in some places, but I think it was originally white. You can tell because around the knobs where they didn't remove them and still painted over them, you can see the old white color, which would have looked white instead of yellow if they hadn't painted over it. Kind of funny how colors work like that. This also has those terrible IF cans, which I guess luckily they have date codes on them, but they kind of stink. Wow, look at how simple that is. I thought the last one was simple. This one's like the, gosh, just looking at this thing makes me cough. This one's like the room temperature IQ edition. It's just as simple and straightforward as can be. Look at this long terminal of negative. It goes from this like terminal strip thing up to the volume control. And it's just where all the negatives are connected. That's interesting. This is the kind of like this is built like a tank. This is built really well. It's also really simple. There's just absolutely nothing to this. This is probably that RCA design that everything used then, but even simpler than that. And it looks like by tipping it up like that, I've totally ruined and massacred the dial cord. Anyways, let me get a parts list down for this, and we'll go from there. All right, and with that, I got that listed down, 1949 Airline something. I forget what this is. It's 94 dash something something something. I hate these capacitors here. One, they explode, and two, they're hard to read. I guess not when you get the hang of it, but 47,000 at 400 volts. 47,000 what? I know that that's probably either 0.47 or 0.047 microfarads, but it's just weird how they're all in the whatever the metric system for whatever. It's like 2 steps below that or whatever. Gosh, it's just just say 0.47. Don't say 47,000 picofarads or whatever the heck it is. But anyways, that's a parts list for these two radios. 1949 and a 52. Very beginner kind of electronics here. Aside from the dial cord, I think that this would be perfect for like a 12-year-old getting into basic electrical work, whether it be vintage or modern, because I don't know, it gets you practicing with a soldering iron and stuff. But anyways, yeah, that should do it. I think I got through all the points that I wanted to go through. And yeah, so I guess with that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.